There is something special inside you.
Welcome to GNG Podcast with your host, speaker, best-selling author, Chaz Jackson.
Yo, what's going on, kings and queens? It's your boy Chaz Jackson coming back to you once again, representing GNG Gifting a Gift. Hey, I personally just want to take the time to tell each and every one of you, thank you for giving me your eyes and your ears once again as we ready to dive deep into some inspiration that I pray will plant like a seed in your mind and assist you in becoming a greater version of yourself. So you guys are in for a treat. I got my guy, Ahmard Vital. He is in the building, about to share some amazing value as we dive deep on the theme, Awaken the Baller Within. So go ahead and grab your pen and paper. I never steer you wrong by encouraging you guys to do that. Again, this is going to be an amazing treat as we give some information on tips and techniques to strive to help young men grow in personal development. Now, you know our motto here on GNG Podcast. We are all gifted differently to make a difference. So let us know that you're there. You are a difference maker and you can be a phenomenal individual wherever God calls you to be that individual at. So continue to be that difference maker in your area, kings and queens. But I want to go over the mission statement of this podcast. I mentioned providing tips and techniques for young men, but I want you guys to take a daily challenge with me as well. Let's continue on with that mission of becoming a passionate visionary who is determined to leave a legacy for themselves by adopting unwavering life values and serving others in an area of gifting led by God. So take that daily challenge with me. That is the official mission statement of GNG Podcast. And I want to invite you again to take that challenge. But let me wrap this short bio on my guy, Mr. Vital. And we're going to get this giant on the show. Ahmard Vital, he is an international speaker. He's an author. He's a consultant, providing so much value to this country internationally, as I mentioned as well. And gosh, man, this is his motto. I am more than enough. You are more than enough. And he's passionate about sharing that with our young people as well as educators and parents across the globe. And he is on GNG Podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I know the audience, man, they are so excited about learning more about you being a speaker, author, consultant who has impacted many, many lives. Our motto on this show is we're all gifted differently to make a difference. And I know you are a difference maker, killing the game, inspiring and watering people's seeds of greatness that's inside of them so that they can bring amazing fruit forward to share with the world. But where you are in 2021, I know we all got to start from somewhere. So can you just share your story with the audience and how you got to where you are today, Ahmard?
Well, we'll do the unabridged Cliff Notes version to make sure that we can get through it and be sensitive with time. But I think that really my transformation probably happened somewhere between 2009 and 2011. I was in a relationship. I was working a number of jobs and things of that nature. And I remember that relationship ended and I didn't know why. And it was probably one of the relationships where I had invested much of my energy and it just didn't work out. I never got an explanation to this day. I never knew. And I went on a tailspin, but this was all at the time when my career was rising. I was working with Fox Sports, doing some recruiting analyst work for, schools like Oklahoma, Texas, and LSU. And I was doing nightly hits on High School Sports Live where, I was the Houston correspondent. And life, as the American dream was shared, it would say I was living the American dream. Yet I'm sitting here in a brand new house, nice vehicle that had very low mileage. And I was sitting in my guest room in a 3-bedroom house depressed. And I had no clue what was going on. And I remember going on this tailspin. And I remember I was about a weekend of just like full, decompression, just, unraveling, like just the worst kind of way possible. And I remember one night I was sitting in my room and it was probably pretty late, probably 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I was at that point, and maybe some of your audience can understand this. There's times where, you're so depressed, you're so downtrodden to where you're just like, I'm not sure I care if I wake up tomorrow. And I had that moment.
True.
I remember one night and I was just like, man, whatever. I said, I'll tell you what, God, now I'm talking to him like he's, a friend sitting next to you. I'm like, hey, God, check this out. So if you wake me up tomorrow, I promise that I'll give this thing called life another chance. And I'll try to put some effort in on it. And of course, obviously I did wake up yet while we're here. And so I started on this real deep path of spiritual and personal development, reading the Napoleon Hills and, listening to a lot of the podcasts, really getting in the word a little bit more and this and that. And at that time I met my spiritual mentor, who's still my mentor to this day. And he had started a program. He started a little kind of prosperity, it was a spiritual experience, but it was teaching you how to be better at life. And I was attending that pretty regularly, and I would come through and this and that. And he had an affirmation he used to use. And one day I called him. I was just like, hey, man, that affirmation is great. And I was riding down the street one day and I was like, this is what I thought about the affirmation. The explanation I gave of the affirmation was so deep that he said, hey, when we go back to the transformation experience, that was the name of it. He said, I want you to share with all the participants what you thought about the affirmation. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Put my little jacket on, and got my little blazer that's not tailored because I'm broke at this time to be able to do too much. So it wasn't a clean, it was, just go out there. And so I shared that. And all the people in there were just like, wow, that was great. What are you going to open with for the next experience? I'm not part of the experience. Yet they were like, this movement. So then it started turning into where the front half of the transformational experience, we would have what was called Vital Thoughts for Transformation. And I would open it up 7 to 10 minutes and I would share spiritual principles, how to be better in life. I ended up doing that for like 2 years, opening up this service. And so, mind you, I have no experience in doing this. Well, around that time, I had ended up, obviously from this downturn with me working with Fox, I wanted to find a way to connect the spiritual and personal development with my love for sports and working with football players. So it's like, how can I loosely teach them spiritual and personal development principles? And so I wrote the book, Awaken the Baller Within, which focuses on the points where, you have the hierarchy of where you're supposed to live with your life, which obviously is God, family, education, and football. And I built a whole book based on the quarters of the game, compounding that with the seasons and seasons and quarters of life. And so I remember when I came out with the book, I was excited. And of course, my book, it ended up being published. First time I had a published book, and it was awesome. And I remember I got my author copies in and I was on my way to go see my father and my mom, and I had a fresh copy ready for him. Well, the week that it was published was my 33rd birthday. My father died the night after my 33rd birthday, which would have been on a Wednesday, and I was set to come see him on that Saturday. Wow. So there's a whole, I thought, you think you've gotten over something, and here's life unraveling again. It's like, what am I supposed to think about this? And so then at this point in time, I'm in the word, I'm believing, my faith, I thought, was strong. And I remember the night when, I asked God, I was like, I haven't asked much of you. I didn't ask you to make this book a bestseller. I didn't ask you for millions of dollars. The only thing I asked for is for you to make sure that my father walked out of here alive. That's what I asked of you. And you said that you would never leave nor forsake me. And yet here we are. My father just deceased. My mother's in there distraught. My family is just like seeking for answers. I'm the one everyone's turning to, and I don't have the answers. And you were supposed to guide me through this. What do you want me to think in this moment? About 7 minutes later, while I'm, drowning and, recycling my own tears and sweat at the same time, the voice, the still small voice that, you know, we all know about, that's very angelic and can share a lot of things with you. The voice told me that says, my son, I have given you everything you need. The request you asked for, I have given you. And what I'm telling you right now is your father is walking out of this hospital as you.
Wow, that's powerful.
Everything your father stood for, the values, the integrity, the character, those things, all of these things, I have everything that he has taught you is now within you. Now leave this place and go be the man me and the earthly father I've given you has given to you. And I want you to go out and live the best life possible. Now, I was upset still, obviously, but at the same time, like it gave me a revelation, Chaz, and it took me to a place where I had to start looking at the essence of God differently. Like, God is not going to take the issues away from you. God is going to equip you with what you need to get through those. And it will test you to know that when you think you can do this on your own, and you think that your faith is strong, and you think that you're spiritually sound, no, that lean not on your own understanding, as it says. You need to rely on me. And the second you think that you got this, which I did, you don't. And so once the book came out, I was like, hey, how do you do this? You know, somebody said, hey, if you want to sell copies of your book, you should go speak. I was like, oh, really? How about I go try that out? And so I remember my first gig. My first gig was to a small camp out in Tyler, Texas. First paid gig. I went out there, supposed to be a big camp. All the kids from East Texas are supposed to be there. I show up there, and it's 2 kids on a park bench to take in my message. And I was like, okay, I'm thinking that this is not the way this is supposed to go, but I delivered the message. I ended up giving everyone, including the camp counselors, books at that moment. And that built what we have today. My first gig where somebody bought the books and I spoke at them was at Reagan High School. And that's when I first recorded How to Awaken the Baller Within. And from then, it's been history since then. You know, spoken in 3 to 4 different countries. Hundreds, thousands of young men and young women have taken in the message, adults as well. And, you know, here we are. And, you know, I'm 10 years into this, 10, 12 years into this. And I still feel like we're just getting started. I'm just now being used in different ways. And here we are. Obviously, we expanded into nonprofits. We've expanded into churches. We've expanded into small businesses. We've expanded into some corporations, you know, major and, you know, community colleges as well. And of course, high schools all over the place. And just allowing myself to be used in this spot, you know, building on Awaken the Baller Within. More books have come from that. And there's another book on the way now. But I think that moment, you know, losing my father may have been one of the greatest blessings I've ever had. And it hasn't been easy to say that. And I'm not sure it's easy to say that right now either. However, I have to be mindful of the fact that that was the moment that I needed to be able to bring myself back to the center of where I am leaning on the power within me, more so than the power I think that I've generated in the world.
Thank you so much for sharing that with the audience. Man, that's such a powerful story to get to where you are right now. And again, going back to what you said before, it took you trusting God, not leaning on your own understanding. Understand as you look towards God with all of your decisions, all your feelings, beliefs, and opinions, that he will bring success into your life. But it takes that trust. And gosh, that's just such a good analogy of saying, hey, my dad's still living inside of me, and I'm going to go out and live my best life with him as a, you know, that character-based force that's driving me to produce the fruit that God's calling me to produce, that love, that joy to everyone that I am put in front of as a speaker, as a coach, as a consultant. Dude, man, you're such a powerful dude, man. I'm just so excited that we're connected and you are sharing your life with other people and saying, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. So, man, that's really good stuff. And So gifting a gift, again, is built on providing tips and techniques for young men as they strive to grow in personal development. Now, when you hear the theme, Awaken the Baller Within, is there a tip or technique that comes to mind based off that theme that you can share to that young man that's listening to you right now, that teacher, that coach, that parent that's listening to you right now that wants to inspire that young man?
Well, Awaken the Baller Within, the title, I mean, my goodness, I can't tell you how many titles I went through before that one sort of set in, because again, I was in that personal and spiritual development stage. And, obviously the cover behind me is the first inaugural cover that ended up being for the book. And I remember, being torn on what the premise of the book is, because obviously the book is written from a standpoint to where I did it the same way Napoleon Hill did with Think and Grow Rich, where he went around and, interviewed, I think 400 or 500 millionaires during that time. Well, I chose Division I and professional athletes to interview guys I'd worked with in the recruiting process coming up through my years with Fox. And I would do long form interviews with them. And some of these guys, guys like Russell Shepard, who had I think he had a 8 or 10 year career. He played with the Buccaneers. He played with the Panthers, and he played, the latest spot was the Giants. Michael Thomas, who plays right here with the Houston Texans. He was one of the guys. I'd studied guys like Andrew Luck, and a number of other guys. Andre Dean, who was a star at Katy High School, took him to a couple of title games. So I studied these guys and understanding what it takes to be successful. But I was looking at their success on the field, but I wanted to know what the mindset was for them to be able to do what they do, because I know a lot of talented casualties. We all do. Guys who have all the talent in the world, but they don't end up making it, professionally, on the football field, on the basketball court, or even sometimes in life. They just end up falling astray. And so I settled in on 3 things when I was building Awaken the Baller Within, and that's dream building, goal setting, and living life with a relentless pursuit. That was the 3 main things that came along with working with Awaken the Baller Within. And it takes those principles and understanding that, like, dream building. Okay, what is the most ultimate thing you'd want to do in your life? I share with a lot of my people, like, if there were no factors, if there was no money factor, if there was no time factor, and you could ideal and carve out the best life you could create and what you would want to do, what does that look like? And it's like, boom, they come up with these ideas or whatever. It's like, all right, now here's the goals. Where's the steps? I call it the work in reverse principle. Where it's like you take this gigantic goal, break it down into small parts. It's like, okay, the money factor is a deal. The time factor is a deal. The drive factor is the deal. Okay, all those are in place. Okay, so what do we need to do to achieve that will achieve the next step to achieve the next step? And where does that come in? That's where the relentless pursuit comes in, where it's like you wake up every day knowing that big dream, as one of my as my mental performance coach, because I'm a mental performance coach, but the coach who coached me called it the big kahuna goal. Like that goal where it's like this goal happens and like life as you know it changes. Like you've achieved this, and it's just like, if there's an arrival, like this is it. Obviously, we know if you're a go-getter, you'll just be like, all right, what's the next big kahuna? Yeah. But what's that thing to where it's like when you eclipse and you reach the top of the mountain, you put that flag at the top and plant it and say, this is where I am placed. This is what I've achieved. What is that? And every morning, the drive to get you up is not the alarm clock. It is the energy within you that says, this is what I'm working towards every day. Every move I make is a step, an inch, a centimeter towards moving me closer to that. And every day there's a purpose that you put together that's going to lead you towards that. So let's just say your goal is to, have a national best-selling book. Okay, well, what's the steps? So you're working through, each of those individual steps or whatever, and you're going through and you're nitpicking. Maybe you have to work a job. So it's like, okay, I have to work from 8 to 5. Okay. And let's just say you got to take care of the kids from 5 to 7:30, put them to bed by 8 o'clock. Okay. Let's just say you still want to get those 8 hours of sleep. Okay. So you're looking at a window of about 90 minutes to 2 hours. Are you going to go full throttle in and using that 90 minutes to inch you closer towards that goal? Are you going to wake up 30 minutes earlier, an hour earlier, getting up before the kids get up, which I know is very difficult, getting up before the
Hey, man,
kids get up?
I'm living in it right now. That's it.
Yes, to put 30 minutes, 45 minutes towards that which you say you want. That's where the relentless pursuit comes in. And so when you talk about the Awaken the Baller principles, those are the three main principles. And obviously, you break it down even deeper, which is the vision, intensity, thankful, awareness, and the learning along the way, which is VITAL, which is the vital, the vital principles is going to take to be able to push through those things. And all of those different aspects are going to help you get where you're trying to go. But Chaz, it's not an easy road to do this. In fact,
yeah, it's like you got to become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? I mean,
you have to live in the uncomfortable. When they say, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm talking about being in the valley without a flashlight, man, or a match. Maybe you left your rod and staff or misplaced it. I'm talking about the true hero's journey where you are out there and it's like you're in the wilderness. It's like, oh, where's my support group? Oh, they're not there. And you can't lean on your own understandings. Your mentor gave you all you need to do. So now what do? You take what your mentor gave you. You take what your advisor's giving you. You take what your pastor's giving you. You take what your father's giving you. And you package all that up and say, all right, here's the meat. And now what do you have to do? You have to slay the dragon. And what is the dragon? The dragon is the negative thoughts. The dragons is the adversity that's going to come. The dragons are the missteps you're going to make along the way. The dragons are the family and friends who don't believe in what you're doing. The dragon is all of the distractions that can keep you from living out the purpose that your heavenly Father has given you to live out. Dude. And when you can get to that point where you slay that and come away victorious, you're on the road to living the empowered life. And in the goal, even if the goal you set is not achieved, the one you set out to be, maybe the goal that what you were striving for is bigger. Because see, Chaz, we're put on this earth, we're given everything, the power within us is given to us at birth, but we're still limited in mind, right? We're connected to headquarters, but again, when you're down here on earth, you think you have the game of life figured out. And like you said, lean not on your own understanding. You are going to have to check in with headquarters a lot.
Yeah, because you're going to want to self-sabotage, right? You're going to want to go back to the old ways. But yeah, I like that headquarters. Well,
you will self-sabotage. That's the point. You will self-sabotage because the countless examples on life and, even in the word, like all sorts of mistakes and missteps are made. But that is what gets you to the point where you break down and say, calling out to the Father, who do you say sent you? I am. What do you mean I am? I am that I am. That's all you need. But see, we forget that along the way. Why? Because we have intellect. Why? Because we have college. Why? Because we have books. We have all these different things. And we feel like we know things. And the second you think you know a lot of things, you realize you know nothing. And that's okay. That's okay, because it leads you to that place to where it brings you to what? Humility. And that your vision has to be aligned with a larger vision. That's why a lot of times you'll be pushing towards a goal. And then you'll realize when you get there, you're just like, I want a little bit more. Why? Because the goal wasn't big enough. The goal wasn't big enough. Because Dad wants you to have a larger goal. Dad wants you to not only, achieve your goal, bring your goal to fruition, but also expand the goal. Why? Because you're here to expand the kingdom. You're here to provide love and service. Because if what you're doing in life doesn't make life better for other people, what are you doing?
Dude, that's it. I feel like I gotta say that one more time. Say that one more time for me. That somebody need to hear that again.
So, I'll spin off of that because we were kind of going on that. But the bottom line is that everything you do in your life is a ministry. I had to come to that realization because people kept calling me a minister. And I'm like, look, man, I don't want any of them church titles, right? And even to this day, my teens call me pastor. And it's just like, I'm still trying to unpack that right now. But we're all ministers. Think about it. You go to the grocery store, there's someone checking out your groceries. That 15 to 30 seconds that you are interacting with that person, the smile, the exchange, the thank you, the bagging of your groceries and saying, you have a great day. That is a ministry. Your gardener goes out, plants the seeds, plants the flowers, and beautifies your yard. That person has a ministry because they are contributing to the beautification of your home. And what's seen from the outside when people pass by and say, this is a beautiful home. I love the landscaping over there. Your barber, giving you a fresh fade and, making you to where you are cleaned up. And now you have a clean shave. So when you go out to the world, you roll your shoulders back and you're proud to display yourself in such a complimentary way. Well, your barber made that happen for you. So there's an exchange of love that he's given to you in that spot. Even the person who washes your car. I mean, we can go down the list all the way down to the janitor who beautifies this space that's going to be occupied by people, whether they're students, whether they're employees, whether they're professionals. When you come in and there's a clean working environment, what does a clean space do when you walk into it? A clean space clears your mind. It's like, oh, I have the space and the capacity to let ideas flow freely. Why? Because the space is open up and clean. Thank you for who provided this space for me. So everything you do, every act you do is a ministry. Because why? Because at the end of the day, you are contributing to the good of those around you. Everything you do is a service. And if you're serving, then you're serving the will of God. And when you serve the will of God, then you get to hear those beautiful words somewhere along the way, whether you hear them from someone within there, you read them. But the ultimate thing you want to hear when it's all said and done is, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Service is the beginning of everything. And if what you're doing right now is not providing a service, it's time to reevaluate your life choices, because that is the essence of life. We are here to love and serve, and love and service expands the kingdom. Expand the kingdom means to spread the love to others. I like to share a quote. My father, both of my fathers, my father who passed gave me a lot of great advice, but my biological father who's still alive, he's always shared this with me, and I've never forgotten it. He shared a lot of things with me, but this is the one quote that never will leave me for the rest of my life. He said, live the best life you can, then give it all away.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
Live the best life you can, then give it all away. And when you think about that, it's like, you should exhaust all that you have to offer to the world. Otherwise, what are you trying to do? What is it that you're trying to achieve? This life we live is not about us. It's about planting seeds. It's about making the earth, making life for others better than you showed up as. It's almost like I spoke at a church member's funeral probably about 10 years ago. And I said a quote, and I have no idea who to attribute this to, but it went something like this. It said, ask not how many people will mourn you when you die, but how many people were better off because you lived.
Whew. Dude, it's powerful. That's an amazing question to ask yourself on a daily basis, man. I'm taking that to heart right there. That's a good one. Say that again for the audience.
Ask not how many people will mourn you when you die, but how many people were better off because you lived.
And that brings in the legacy side of things, right? And
that brings in everything. That brings in everything. Because again, when your heart leads with service, when you say love and service is going to be, whether it's love, service, gratitude, all of those virtues. But I settle in a lot on love, service, and gratitude as sort of the key tenets, because I think that everything spins off of those three. Because obviously love is the base. If we say God is love, then everything that's good spins off of that. And I've settled in on service and gratitude as as very high on the list, along with respect. But that takes it to another level as far as that's concerned as well. But it's like every action we do needs to involve those things. So I don't think that there's an action that does not need to encompass those things when you look at what you do going forward and being the servant we were called to be. And I think that's extremely important. And I also think that that's been lost a lot of times along the way. I think we've allowed the I have to get mine attitude to do that. A lot of times when I've worked and consulted with some people, and I tell them how important tithing is. And people always think that tithing has to do with, the 10% of your money. And it is, and that is a factor. However, there's other ways to tithe. There's other ways to serve. You can tithe your time. You can tithe your advice. You can tithe your services. You can tithe your just a listening ear. Sometimes, there's a lot of tragedies that could probably be prevented if we just sat down and listened to some people and just let them, unload that which is going on their heart. They may just need someone to listen to them, because a lot of times people have just written them off and just saying, oh, well, he or she doesn't know what they're talking about. Well, that may be the case, but let them unload that to where they come to that realization on their own, instead of allowing that to fester within them. And now it becomes a bacteria. Now the bacteria takes over the body. And now when the bacteria takes over the mind, well, now they're operating from a place where it's not from love. It's from resentment. It's from anger. It's from disgust. And people make a lot of bad decisions when they work from that rationale. And so, they always say, when I get more, I'm going to give more. And I always say, you'll never get more until you give more. Love's a cheerful giver. And I see this all the time, where it's just like, man, when I make more money, I'm going to do all this and that and everything. And it's just like, why aren't you giving from where you are now? If you have $1, keep 90 and go give that dime to someone, to something, to a cause, to a church, to an organization, to a podcast like yourselves. Invest in things that are doing the work that you are doing, but also duplicate that work. When you donate to nonprofits, when you donate to different organizations, you are spreading yourself out and saying, you know what, I'm going to invest in those who are doing the type of work I find worthy of investing in, so that they can spread the word, so we can have more soldiers on the battlefield, so that we can fight against this culture, this spiritual battle that's going on. And anybody who doesn't think it's a spiritual and cultural battle going on, you haven't been living life long enough. Even if you don't watch the news, you see it in your everyday life. Men who have lost their purpose, women who lost the idea of the true essence of womanhood and things of that nature. Men out here doing this, women out here doing this. No one's coming together to create the very thing we were put here to do, which is serve one another.
Because that's the true fulfillment, right? That's the true fulfillment. I said that's the true fulfillment. It's just serving, and giving yourself.
Yes.
Fulfilling.
So that's sort of where I see things. And I, the beautiful thing is that what I'm sharing, I'm sharing it with your audience, but I'm actually having a moment within myself, because, you try to live the best life you can every day, but you fall short. I fall short many times during the week. And, I try to, since I lost my dad 10 years ago, and this is talking to my fellas out there, and maybe it can hit home with some ladies as well, but it's like, isn't there an urge within you somewhere to where you want nothing more than to make your father proud? Don't you love the idea of just your dad looking at you saying, I'm proud of you? And obviously I still have one of my fathers still alive, but it's like, you'll find yourself, I find myself, Chaz, and I'm putting together some programs. I'm out at an event. I'm doing some things like that. Now I'll steal away for a moment, sort of like our elder brother did. I'll steal away for a moment and just, sort of have a moment and be like, is my father proud of what I'm doing right now? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. When you get caught up in doing something that's not righteous, am I representing my father? And am I representing the lineage? Am I representing the Vital name in the best way possible right now? And the longer you have to ponder on it, the more you realize, like, okay, I need to do better. I need to step up and be the man I was called to be from my heavenly father and from my earthly fathers as well. And
I'll tell you, man, one of my favorite quotes says, if I've seen farther than others, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants. And man, I know people are seeing farther as far as their dreams, their goals, their values, interests, principles as they're growing and going on this journey through life. Dude, you're a giant, man. People are seeing so much clearer and more focused and more consistent because they're going to be in your path. They're already in your path. And gosh, all the value that you shared. And I know the other title of your book is I'm More Than Enough. You definitely carved out so much value, gems, and whoever's listening, I know if you didn't get your pen and paper, go back and listen to this thing. So there's so much value that we can probably talk for hours on the good meat that was just shared on this episode. And gosh, man, I encourage each and every one of you whoever's listening to go back, get one of those tips or techniques, take that daily challenge or implement it into your life, knowing that, it is a journey, not a destination, right? We're on a journey and through life. And Brother Ahmard, man, thank you so much for being on GNG podcast. I know there's somebody that's listening right now is like, man, this dude right here, he is who I want to image my life around. I want to learn some more of his value, interests, and principles. I want to know what he's doing in 2021 and what's new to come for him. I just want to get in front of more of his content. Can you share some of your contact information and some things you got going on coming up in the future?
Yes, I can. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's ahmardvital.com, AHMARDVITAL.com. All of my information is there. You can reach out to me there. The books, Awaken, the Baller Within, and I Am More Than Enough are going to both be there. Ministry courses for I Am More Than Enough are going to be hopefully available by the fourth quarter of this year. And then, of course, a new book is hoping to come out this fall. It's in production right now, pitching it to different publishers right now, and just a number of other projects, man. I'm about to get the work started back up with the Boys and Girls Club, working with younger kids. I mean, obviously I work a lot with teenagers and young adults, but got to get to the younger kids too, man. They are taking in a lot of information, and some of it is not so godly, not so wholesome, I guess is the word. And it's leading them down some very dark paths. So, but ahmardvital.com is going to be, I got a contact form on there. Feel free to reach out to me. A lot of products that are not available on the website, but are available, and different things of that nature. So hopefully, if there's a question you have on some of the content that was shared here, by all means, please reach out to me. I definitely will find the time to be able to address it as much as possible. A lot of entries come in, a lot of emails come in, and I will absolutely do my best to get back with you and at least share something with you or lead you on the path to where you can get what you need to get. And by all means, if you ask me a question and I am not quite sure about it, I will seek out the advice of those who I know can help you much better with that situation. I have a team of people around me who assist me, who've been all over the world and who have mentored millions. This package you see here, this is not of my own all doing. This is years of being put together and paying homage to, as Chaz would say, the giants who have come before me and the giants who are still holding me up right now. must definitely show love where it's due, and that's what we're looking to do going forward.
That's beautiful, man. And hey, audience, I want you to do two things for me. Keep that crown on your heart. And please remember this. We are God's echo. I love each and every one of you. More episodes to come. Peace.
Thank you for listening to GNG Podcast. Remember, you are gifted differently to make a difference. Please visit ChazJacksonSpeaks.org and let's continue to grow together. God bless.